Designers and Builders, where design meets construction. We explore groundbreaking trends and talk to the pros reshaping our spaces. For your dream home, workspace, or just great design inspiration, subscribe to Designers and Builders.
All right. My guest today didn't set out to build a life in construction. She was studying criminal justice and took an assistant job at a Boston remodeling firm, got challenged to learn estimating, and nearly 20 years later, she is now the president of FBN Construction. That's 30 million, 40-person high-end residential building that's been shaping the most complex homes and inner city renovations in the greater Boston area. Here's what I love about her story. Larissa, she sat in almost every seat: estimator, bookkeeper, marketing, contracts, project management, and now she's in the top chair. So when she talks about running a company, she knows from the numbers all the way to the job site. So she doesn't just compete on being the cheapest, she competes on trust, transparency, and giving clients control of their budget and delivering premium experiences. Her words: it's the difference between good sushi and gas station sushi. We get into what it takes to earn respect as a woman leading a male-dominating trade, how to protect your brand and quality when you refuse to race to the bottom. Welcome, Larissa Cook, to Designers and Builders podcast.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Steve. I'm excited to be here. It's awesome.
So, you just spoke at a conference not too long ago. So tell us, was it the New England Home Magazine Luxury Design Summit and 400 people? What was that? What was the moment right before you went on stage that helped you get through it?
It's a good question. So if anyone that knows me knows that I'm not the biggest fan of public speaking. I know a lot of people aren't. So I was really excited to have the opportunity to talk amongst like 400 of my peers, like within the industry. And it's very intimidating because I find that public speaking, it's often more intimidating when it's with amongst people that you really respect and like want, their approval. But right before I went on, I realized, this is a group of people that they're my peers, they're supportive. We're all, we're in the same industry. We all have a lot of the same goals to have successful projects, with our clients, and we want to build great relationships that are long-term. And so I think I just realized like it's a great moment to kind of shine and, have an audience that's attentive and really genuinely cares about me and our company and wants to, hear our story. So it was really nice to be able to do that. So at a great conference. So
what, when people think about you as like the high-rise renovation team, but you also build custom homes, but you can't always show inside because of client privacy. Yeah. What's the most frustrating part of being really good at work that you're not allowed to brag about?
It's a good question. I would say, it's frustrating because I think we get kind of put in this, I would say, pigeonhole of like, oh, we're known to be the high-end remodelers of, high-end downtown luxury buildings. And when we do so much more than that. And so I think when we go to price a job or have an opportunity to look at, a new build, it's often harder for us to be able to win the job without being able to showcase our work with the photography. So we have some photography of our new builds, but not being able to showcase all of our portfolio due to the privacy of our clients. It's definitely frustrating. So we typically, when we're bidding on projects, we ask that we have an opportunity to meet the homeowner because, a lot of the companies within Boston are very similar, but what's going to differentiate us is our processes and our people. And so when we're able to showcase that, because we don't necessarily have photography for all of the custom homes, that's really great. Like as an example, one of our clients, we built an addition that he was involved in an art museum in Boston. And so we built a structure off of his property to replicate an art museum in France. And he has
That's 24. Incredible.
Yes. And so every single bit of that structure was built identically to this museum in according to placement of his art. So he has a 24-hour police detail on his street, and he didn't want any sort of photography for, obvious reasons due to the value of the art in the structure. So stuff like that is, it's a really cool project, and we're excited about it and would love to be able to showcase it, but we may not be able to. So it's kind of annoying, but
Yeah,
understandable. So
for sure. So you were studying criminal justice, then took the executive assistant role, and now
mm,
you're suddenly in construction.
mhm.
So when it was suggested that you learn estimating, what did you see in that skill that made it a turning point for you?
So I always say that me being asked to learn the estimating was a pivotal point in my career. It changed the entire trajectory of my career. The estimator at the time wasn't a big fan. My boss, I was an executive assistant to John DeShazo, the previous owner of FBN. He suggested to our estimator that I learn to do the estimating with him. And he said, "You want me to work with that young, dumb, blind girl? You got to be effing kidding me." And so I ended up staying at FBN morning, noon, and night just to prove a point to him that I could do it and I could prove him wrong. And so over time, I'd stay to the wee hours of the morning. I'd go home, shower, change, come back to work, and just to prove a point, quite honestly. And then I ended up liking it. And that employee ended up leaving. And over time, I was able to work with our subcontractors and our site supers and kind of, I'd go on site and ask them like, how long does it take to frame a wall, or how long does it take to do this? And so it helped me like develop my relationship with, our team here at FBN, and also, my estimating skills. And then it helped me to also work with our sales team closer. So I think that him challenging me, saying that, I couldn't do something, really was ultimately why I am where I am today. So
And
kind of
side
crazy.
note, sometimes you need those things to like
Mhm.
push you to the point where you're like, oh wait, what am I truly capable of? I'm being challenged here, right? Like, and you must see that a lot, especially in this space, right?
Absolutely. I think, our projects, like even just in general, our projects at FBN tend to start off sometimes smaller. And then we're very transparent. We're open book with our processes. We do like real time financial reporting. And so I think once our clients are used to working with us and like, they've become familiarized with our processes, they're like, oh, wow, this is awesome. Like I'm in control of my budget. Then they tend to increase the scope. So the majority of our projects unto double, triple, quadruple in size from when we originally start. So there's always a challenge of kind of us having to pivot constantly and think ahead. Oh, well, if we decide to, add this scope on, what is the ramifications of, plumbing and electrical and, the mechanicals or millwork, or what are the design modifications of like tripling or quadrupling a scope of a project? So FBN stands for fly by night, and that's what we do. We're, on the seat of our pants, kind of,
Yeah.
we're used to kind of pivoting. So it's just kind of the nature of our business, I think. So,
So as a leader now of somebody that's done every single part of the project
mhm.
of the company, right?
Yeah.
What do you do differently now because you've lived the whole entire chain from from numbers to job site? Like how what do you do differently as a leader now?
That's a good question. I think there's a lot of things that have changed throughout the years. I will say we spent a considerable amount of time and money investing in, consulting and in also like in education and trying to like always improve processes for our team. I think as a leader, I think we've become very open to throughout the years, like more and more open to ideas from our team. Like we're like, hey, if you have an idea, like it's never going to be like a no. Like we'll see if it makes sense or if we can make it work. And we're always encouraging people to really contribute, and like we want our team to help build this company and make it better. So I think it's just our processes have become we've spent a lot of time with like trial and error, trying out different processes throughout the years, whether it's accounting programs or project management software or different ways of financial reporting or you name it. But I think, our processes have become way better throughout the years. And I think as a leader, I always I am the one that I would like to think is in the trenches with our team, that is always like, no matter what position you're in, like
Hmm.
we are a team. Like there's no competition. Like we want you to help each other and just be open to, working together and just making the company better as a whole. So I'd like to say that maybe our processes and our culture has gotten better because we're so accepting and like wanting ideas and our team to contribute toward, improving the company,
For sure. Because they're the ones like literally on the line doing the work. So they're probably the ones closest to the solutions for these
Yeah,
problems that come up, right? Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely.
So you mentioned a little bit about, earning respect as a woman in a non male dominated industry. And I know you mentioned one in
Mm.
earlier in your career. Do you have, do you have can you share a moment where you're like, oh my God, I'm not going to get this. Nobody's going to give me any credibility. I'm going to have to take it. Right. And what did you do next? Like, does that make sense?
I think so. I mean, I would say the owner of FBN, Bob Ernst, retired 2 years ago. And Bob is the nicest, greatest guy you will ever meet in the industry. I couldn't ask for a better boss, quite honestly. I mean, the opportunities he's given me, the educational, the travel, encouraging me to go out and network and go to events and just get my face out there and just, kind of diverse myself, within the industry. I think when he retired and I became president 2 years ago, the challenge was like for me, and I think maybe it was more of an internal challenge, like, but was it was very important for me to have the same respect as Bob as president of this company. I'm a
Mm,
young female. A lot of our team members are, some of them are older or, they've been in the industry for longer than I have. And I think that was a challenge for me to really make sure. I'd say it was very important for me to make sure that like I had their respect just as much as they respected Bob. Like I'm never going to be Bob, like as much as I want to, or I would try. It's not happening. So I can just be like the best version of myself and be as supportive as I can to help them with their jobs. And so, I'm happy to go sweep up a job site or could help, stay late to help somebody with financial reports or, to do training. But I think, you know, for me, that was a challenge of gaining respect of the men in the industry. So
yeah,
that,
that, yeah, that makes sense. So you said hiring trades is really hard, but you specifically called out work ethic. What's the hidden cost to a company like yours when even one role is filled by someone who isn't a fit, especially at 40 at your revenue and your teams? Like what impact does work ethic have?
huge. It's so huge. It's so much more costly to a company to have a wrong hire. We always say, hire slow, fire fast. When we are hiring, we are really, really trying to make sure that person is qualified and they're a good fit with the company for the long term. Because when we're hiring, we're like a family here and we want to make sure that that employee is going to stay here for, we're hiring for life and we really want to help develop them. And we always say the sky's the limit. Like you can do anything you want at FBN. And I'm a prime example of that. The sky's the limit. So when we do get an employee that may slip through the cracks, as I like to say, it's really difficult, I think, from a work perspective, it's like kind of demoralizing if you have somebody that's not pulling their weight or not working as hard, and then you have other team members that are picking up the slack of somebody that's not a fit or they're not trying or they just don't care. Because our team really, really cares about our jobs and our clients and wanting to do a good job. And so if we have someone that ultimately doesn't end up being a fit, I think it's a very negative thing for our culture. It gets people get kind of demotivated, kind of like, well, that person's not doing this, but, so I think it creates like a harder environment for people to stay motivated when they see somebody that's not doing what they're supposed to be doing or that doesn't care as much as they do. So we try to rectify
Yeah.
it immediately to stop, you
You
know.
you really have to get you have to deal with those things immediately because it could even bring on your star players, as you know, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. But it also, I
Yeah.
guess, in a way, it's good because it helps you realize, like, and appreciate the people that do work so hard for you. So that's, I
Yeah.
guess, the positive out of a negative, maybe.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you said that you're not selling the cheapest price, like you're selling an experience and transparency with client in control of the budget.
Sure.
What are some specific touch points or systems that you rely on to deliver that experience consistently over
Sure.
all of your projects?
Sure. The team loves me for this. I'm the financial crazy person here. So we do real time weekly financial reporting. And so we have very detailed, we call them cost to complete financial reports. It says this is your original budget, this is what we've spent, this is what we're projecting to spend. And so in it's itemized, it's very detailed. And so we report costs, itemized costs to our clients on a weekly basis. So we're coding invoices weekly. We're very proactive with our subcontractors about getting invoices for completed work. And so there's a lot of paperwork, because we're doing it weekly on projects that could be multi-million dollars. It's a lot of administrative work to code invoices, to have them coded timely, to make sure the numbers are hitting their financial reports, and we're projecting out real projections of where their project's going to wind up. And so I think it's very good because it gives the client, they're in control of their budget. So if we had, I don't know, 20,000 in for plaster and we spend 15, they know that there's a $5,000 savings and that they can use that 5,000 on maybe the tile they wanted or the counters or, something else further down the line. But it also holds us very accountable because we can also be over budget. So if we're over budget on something, we have to be, have the hard conversations and just kind of do that up front. And we find that the more direct and open and honest we are, it allows us to make, adjustments throughout the project. And so they always know where they're standing financially. And we say that we will not spend our clients' money without their permission. And so we're not just going to do work and not keep them apprised of their budget and then give them a change order. We won't do any work unless they're aware of it. So they're always in control. And so they can make adjustments, down the line and not be surprised. So, and don't think people like surprises in construction personally. So,
Where does that system break under scale?
can you clarify? Like,
So like with that whole system, how it's running, like where's the tension or where's the breaking point, you think, in you know, even that system?
I don't think, I mean, it seems quite honestly to work pretty well for us.
Mm.
Where most of our projects are T&M with not to exceed. So we have
Yeah.
like a little bit of flexibility if we did misestimate something or, if we underestimated something or we might have forgotten something. But I think we've gotten actually really, really good at the financial reporting.
Mm,
I like to say that's one of the things that I think works the best with our company. So I haven't
that's
seen
awesome.
anything really too negative resulting from it. But it's also years of like processes and us figuring this out as well. So
For sure. How do you communicate to a new employee or even like communicate the value, or because you know how like when you meet a client for a big project, that first impression makes a big difference. Like it sets the
Mhm.
tone for the whole entire client engagement. And if it's off by just like a little bit, it can kind of tarnish it. Like, how do you at your level and your scale like deal with that, the client experience and like making sure that it goes off on the right note?
I think we really set the tone at the initial meetings of just being like, we ultimately are looking for a long-term relationship. We don't just want to build one project. We want to be a team member for life. Like we want a client for life. And I think the openness, the transparency, that like our goal is ultimately to make them happy and prioritize what their needs are. Is it budget, schedule, quality? Like what are their, there's three kings. Like what is their, one king that they're looking for in the project? We can do all of them, but like what are their priorities? So I think just getting to know the clients and what they're ultimately looking for as an end result of their project is like very helpful. We want to make sure they get to know us just as much as we're getting to know them, because ultimately it's a relationship. We're going to be in these people's homes. We're going to be, in their space, while potentially some of them are living there depending on the project. So it's really important to just know, like for us, I think explaining our processes and our people, how we work, and just the transparency is really important. I think it helps set the tone initially. Like we want to know what kind of coffee do they like to drink? Like what do they have for pets? Like what are their what are their things that annoy them? Like,
Yeah,
what are their priorities here? So I think that's really just getting to know them is important and make sure like we're both a good fit for the project,
that's
because
great.
I think it's a two-way street. So
Absolutely. That's great.
Michael lead up crazy.
What do you have a proud moment in the past couple months? Something that you just like, if you think about, I don't want to,
Sure.
make assumptions, but I think you probably do a lot of work on yourself, right? Like personal, professional development so that you could be the best that you could be. Like, do you have moments of like gratitude or moments that just like fill you up, like, or things that when things are really hard, like you go back to that memory as it relates to to your role or position?
I think I don't know if there's anything in particular that like stands out, besides my public speaking engagement that I was thrilled to get done, and I think I did a good job. I would say that I think the wins are like we send out surveys to our clients and we get a lot of testimonials. And I think with a lot of construction projects, clients are typically like, oh, I can't wait to get these people like out of my house, or, to be done with this project. Or, I think that's a general connotation in construction. And we've had a lot of clients, as I'm visiting job sites or sending out surveys, that will tell me like, Larissa, this was like the most amazing project. Like we had the best team. Like we don't want you to leave. Like we don't want our project to end. We love your team, and your team did such a great job, and like we looked forward to seeing them every day on site, and it's gonna kind of stink when you guys are gone. Like we'll need to find the next project to work with you. So I think those little wins, like hearing from our clients about how great our team is like really what I look forward to the most, and I'm most proud of, honestly, as president, is
That's
the
great.
people that work for me. So
That's awesome. That's so
yeah.
cool. Okay. So last thing that I just started to do was just last question is like, let's pick one thing in your business that you could improve upon or do, and then we'll just like have a brainstorm opportunity on like how to better improve it. Just like anything, right? What's the thing that kind of keeps you up at night, or a thing or trend, or just like, you know, anything from marketing, sales, each, tech, AI, like anything that like comes to mind that you'd like
Yeah.
to spend like a couple minutes thinking through, like a brainstorm.
I think the AI is definitely something that's very interesting. I'm curious to see, it's becoming a norm for like, I know a lot of companies that are using it for estimating, for pricing. I know a lot of designers that have clients that are trying to modify their designs because of AI.
Oh
So I'm,
yeah, yeah, that's right. Yeah,
so I'm curious if like, I guess curious how AI is ultimately going to affect the construction industry, like as far as jobs, if people can just punch something in, how much does it cost for this, and get an estimate, thrown out of a program, or hey, design this kitchen for me, and it's done in a couple minutes, like, is it going to eliminate, people's jobs, and like, what is it going to do to the industry? So,
That's a really good. I've thought about this because I've had designs that I've done, and then clients have taken the designs and then said, and they put it into Gemini, and then like, this is what we want. I'm like, I guess that's what we're building,
well,
which is, which is a thing. I think there's always going to be the need for high touch customization, right? Like, as much as I think the sort of eliminating of jobs, I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. What I think it's going to force is a lot more transparency. And with the younger generation of clients, like the Gen Z, like millennial clients, they're so tech savvy that there's the sort of secrecy of the trades is gonna go away because there's gonna be a lot more transparency. Like, I've literally had, you know, my
yeah.
millennial clients, because they're savvy. They're like, this is how much it should cost, right? Like, they know. And then
Hmm.
I have to explain, listen, it takes a person to go and pick up the materials, and then there's gas, and then there's their time. So
Right.
like, there's other things baked into, what you saw, right?
Absolutely.
Um, and then I also think too, so the design is really interesting because I know that this is that, like, AI could do design, but there's something about human taste, and
Right.
there's something about like feeling and emotion and empathy that AI can never replicate.
Right.
And if you are selling luxury people, they're not going to want an AI. They're going to
No.
want the level of detail and customization, where I think I don't think AI is coming. I literally, I our industry is AI proof right now. Like, I don't think it's going to go away.
Yeah.
But I do think for someone like you, being able to manipulate and understand the data and so just imagine, so like, I've started building and designing this sort of stuff for myself and for clients, but like, being able to ingest large amounts of data so that your brain could be so focused on your highest KPIs,
Yeah.
and so then what is going to potentially happen, and I'm not saying it will,
Yeah.
is that person whose job is to produce that one report every week at a particular time, or that gap is like, hey, can you send me, or hey, where's this, or where's that, that, and then whoever that person is on that other end,
Hmm.
you're going to get so used to, like, but you're going to be able to literally talk into your phone,
Right.
into WhatsApp or
Mhm.
Telegram or iMessenger, and then just get whatever data you want. Like,
Yeah.
so that's where it is. So it's going to eliminate a lot of the redundancies on that sort of stuff. And so, like,
Mhm.
like, you'll be able to feed all of your invoices in,
Right.
and then it'll just be real time. So like, invoices will be, you tell the AI to like produce this invoice, this client, and
Mhm.
it already knows the invoice number and then reconciles it. But so like, that's
Right.
where it, on the administrative end, that's where I
Mhm.
think it's going to go.
I agree. I agree. I
Yeah.
think also it's going to make me more high maintenance because I'm going to expect things like yesterday.
Yes. Well, and you're going to be really upset when you have to wait a couple minutes for something because, because no, the level of information and like, how many active projects do you have going on at any given moment?
If we have two divisions, between the two divisions, we could have 40. So,
40 project. So like, uh, imagine waking up at 6 o'clock, right?
mhm.
You go on your Peloton, you go on your run in the morning, and you look at your phone, and you literally have a dashboard of where
Mhm.
all of your projects are at any given moment. And there's like a ping that can go to a person that says, this hasn't been invoiced yet. Or an agent will literally tell you that it's about to send it. You say yes. And then, like, that's where it's going. But
Yeah,
it's really fascinating.
I
I
agree.
think in the end, the customer will benefit.
I agree. I think it is very fascinating to see, and I feel like it's coming so far along. Like even as time goes on, it's like becoming more and more powerful. So it will be interesting to see, like, down the road what develops, over time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Cool. Hey, tell everybody your website so that they can follow your work.
We are at www.fbnconstruction.com.
All right. Larissa, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for sharing your story. Truly inspiring leader. And I'm excited to see where you take FBN next.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's great to be on.
All right.
Bye.
All right. Take care. Bye.